Same. K-Rich is out tomorrow. Favors practiced. Today was non-contact. It was a light day. We went hard yesterday. Favors practiced today. Won't play tomorrow. Veet, same status with the visa stuff. We're working through that. Everybody else practiced and is available. Gabby Deck practiced today. He didn't practice yesterday. He should be available.
So Kinrich, Derek Favors, and Veet all out tomorrow.
Yes.
Sorry, go ahead.
Us? Oh, sorry.
Okay. We'll get to everyone's question.
Well, you mentioned Gabby, and obviously you talked about him a little bit, but you get a lot of practice time with him now. Is there anything you're able to start uncovering about his game a little bit more than you were last season?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, the personnel of the team last season is different from what it is now, so it's definitely getting to evaluate him with this year's team. He has an understanding of how to play. There's a toughness to his game. He just has a great feel with and without the ball on both ends of the floor. And he's an intangible player that makes like winning plays. So he's done a nice job. It's been good to get him, back here. Last year he obviously came in the thick of the season, so it's hard to he has to learn everything on the fly, and there's games going on. He's getting some time here to kind of really learn what we're doing, and he's done a nice job.
Are you seeing him starting to gel with the group a little bit more just in terms of building that camaraderie? I know there's a little bit of a language barrier, but are you seeing that start to build?
Yeah, and his language is he understands English pretty well, understands it better than he speaks it. So he's soft spoken and quiet, but he understands what's going on. Like when we're instructing and we make like corrections, he's getting it right the first. So that's not in the way right now. I think he's a more introverted person, anyways.
This is the first road game, even though it's preseason. What do you think that Rocky's going to learn from this experience, especially playing against Milwaukee?
Yeah, I mean, like I said yesterday, like these games are all good checkpoints because you're practicing. We think we're doing the right things in practice in terms of the buttons we're pushing, the things we're emphasizing. The guys have done a really good job in practice, but it's a more controlled setting, and there's not as much resistance as when there's an opponent doing something entirely different with different personnel. And then when you can do it against a team that has, obviously the top-end firepower, I don't know how much those guys will play, obviously, but if they did, it would be a really, really good checkpoint for us just understanding where we're at against a top team in the league that's always a great execution team, that always makes you earn everything. And we want to see marked improvement in a lot of areas from our first game on Monday.
Mark, with a more established player, for example, like Ty Jerome, it's probably easier to, in practice and individual skill work, like here's the shots that you need to practice, where you need to take them from. When you have guys that are maybe you're targeting as versatile players, how do you prioritize and pick what they're going to spend time working on, where they're going to be taking shots from?
Yep.
Those types of things.
I think it's a good question. I think the way to handle that, or the way we try to handle it, is we evaluate what they're doing in the actual games. So you go back and you use the game as an opportunity to guide you, in what they need to work on in development. And I think, they've got bigger picture goals and a bigger picture vision that we're chasing with every player, and that's kind of the North Star. But the day-to-day granular work that they're doing, they're in situations in games, and, they have that experience. They reflect on it and learn from it, and then they work on it when they're out here. And so, it's really letting the game guide you a little bit so that they feel more comfortable when they're back in that situation.
What made me think of that is just watching Darius at the very top of the key, and it kind of triggered some memories of seeing him in that spot, catching the ball in that spot. What are some actions that, besides just a pick and pop, that can get him those types of looks right at the very top of the key?
I mean, we really don't space there, so it has to come probably after a drive where he's relocating there. Our big space there, he played a little bit of five last game for us, but for the most part, he's spacing wings and corners. But then once the ball hits the paint, everybody should be moving to create a window, and that can put guys at the top of the key. And that's where he'd probably end up with that kind of shot.
Anybody else in the room? Are you a college football fan, Mark?
No, not really. I mean, not overly.
Texas today, so I just had to ask.
Say that again?
I mean, OU Texas is playing right now, so I just had to ask.
Yeah, who's winning?
Texas is up like 35-17.
Really? Yeah, I've watched some college football, but I'm not like a fan. I'm like I have some interest. My wife went to Florida, so she's like big time Gator fan, and now works at OU, big time Sooner fan. So it's on in the house, but she's more invested in it than I am. But
We'll go to the Zoom. Christos, you have a question? Go ahead.
Hello, Coach. Hope
hey,
you're
Chris.
Well.
Yep, same to you.
Thank you. Well, what aspects of your game as a team you would like to improve on through this training camp? And about Shai, what did you see any kind of growth, speaking about his leadership role this training camp?
Yeah, good questions. Certainly the biggest thing we'd like to see improvement in tomorrow is carryover from the week. I thought we had a really good week of training camp, and then when the lights went on and we had an opponent, our carryover was good in some areas and it wasn't great in others. And so we really would like to look like the team that's been practicing all week tomorrow in the game, and that's the challenge. But obviously the game presents, constraints to that, and so that's easier said than done. And then Shai, I've said this before, has been great. We always say the leader is the person doing the right thing. He does the right things, especially with his commitment level and how hard he works. He's one of the first guys here and last to leave every day. He puts his work in. He wants to earn everything he gets. And I think, again, he's a great worker, which is in the moment. He's a great competitor, which is in the moment. But he has the wisdom for a really young player and the maturity to understand the connection between, this competitive moment or this work moment and a bigger picture. And when you're where we are, where, our best days are ahead of us and we're trying to build something special, having a really elite young player like him that kind of gets that is really an asset to us, and we think that's a reason why it's such a good marriage between the Thunder and Shai.